Welcome back to the Michigan Business Elite podcast, where I introduce you to local professionals so when it comes time to need them, you know them. This week on the show, we have Jakob Bergh, a Allstate agent from Portage, Michigan. And of course, I am your host, Ryan Jackson, personal lines insurance agent over at Kemner Iott Benz in Cassopolis. So without further ado, let's get into this week's conversation. Welcome back to the Michigan's Business Elite podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Jackson at Kemner Iott Insurance over here in Cassopolis. And today we're having a conversation with this lovely bearded fellow.
Hello.
This is, I did catch a lot of flack for trying to do or inviting someone that is in the same industry as I am.
I can see that.
But you know what? You're the one that got me into insurance. So I wanted to give you this platform to say thank you. For kicking me in the ass to get me started. And so for those that don't know, Mr. Jakob Bergh, who are you and what do you do?
Well, thanks for having me. First off, my name is Jakob Bergh, and I work for the Jeff Duncan Allstate Agency, so I am an Allstate agent.
Very nice. And where's your office located?
We are located in Portage, Michigan.
All right, where at in Portage?
Right on Center Street, so we're kind of right in between Oakland and Shaver on the south side of Center Street.
Very nice, very nice. And how long have you been slanging insurance?
Oh my, so I've been in the insurance game for about 10 years now, but doing property and casualty for the past 7 with Jeff Duncan.
Well, what got you into insurance to begin with? Because the longer I'm in this business, because I never went to school for this.
Right.
It seems to me that most people just kind of fall into this.
Yeah, so I would say that's pretty accurate. People do kind of fall into it.
Anytime you go to a conference or a class or anything, it's like, all right, well, you have Sally that started out as a hairdresser, and I was a bartender for years.
Yeah.
And, granted, there are some colleges that do have risk management degrees
Sure.
that you can get. But so lead us up to what you did before, what
Sure.
got you into this.
So I've kind of had the sales gene in my life, for my whole life, I should say. And I used to sell cell phones for AT&T. That kind of ran its course. And then my dad kind of pushed me into branching out and getting an insurance license and working underneath him. I was working for a company called Combined at the time. They're a supplemental company similar to Aflac. So I started doing that. Did that for a little over a year, and it wasn't really my forte, so I started looking for something on the property casualty side, and that's when I had an interview with Jeff and ended up moving my expertise, if you will, over there.
And just to kind of give folks a backstory, I interviewed with Jeff and was about this close to working with you.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking a job at a different agency, which ultimately led me here.
Right.
But so I think everything kind of worked out, but it would have been fun to kick it with you and sell with you. So
well, our time is not over, friend.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So what kind of makes any salesperson click is we're always searching for that quote unquote perfect client.
Sure.
Describe your perfect client and what they would bring to your agency or your book of business.
Sure. So my ideal client would be someone our age that, they're just starting a family. They're probably looking at purchasing a home or have already purchased their forever home. Homeowners with a couple of vehicles, couple of kids at home, that are really looking to take care of themselves, not just looking for that ID card to go get a tag on their car. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're not going to bore the audience with talking about the no-fault changes and all that other stuff. That's a whole other video.
Yeah, you can call us later for that.
Yeah, that's a completely and yeah, that whole thing's kind of scary.
It is, yeah, because it's still kind of unknown.
Yeah, and I'm sure your office gets the same calls that ours does.
Oh yeah.
How much am I going to save? When can I do this? When can I do that? And our hands are kind of tied because
yeah. A
lot of the companies I work with, even their plans haven't even been approved by the Michigan Insurance Board.
Right. So. I mean, that's I'm in a good position there because Allstate's plan has been approved by the Michigan Board, so we're ready to move forward with it. But I still don't know exactly what that plan is.
Right. Yeah. Right. And no one's going to know exactly what the discounts are going to be or what anyone's premium is going to look
Not
like
until
quite
it
yet.
happens. Yeah.
Quite yet. All right, so it seems like, especially if you drive around in Portage, like you said, where you're located, seems like there's an insurance agent on every block,
There is, I think. Yeah.
and even some that are sharing the same building.
Sure.
Or pretty sure there's two state farms right next door to each other,
Yeah.
or share the same building now.
Yep. Just to the east of my office.
Which is very odd.
It is,
very
yeah.
odd. But yeah, pretty much hanging out with your competition. But what would set you apart and your agency apart in this kind of jungle of almost oversaturation?
So one of the main things that sets myself apart and my agency apart, very similar to what you do, is we're more customer focused. So we really focus on what is needed from the customer in order to put a plan together to protect all of their assets and make sure that if something bad does happen, if you have a bad car accident, if you lose everything in a house fire, that you're not going to have any what ifs or what could have happened if I asked this question and while purchasing my insurance. So we really make sure that we're taking care of the client as the client's needs are based, I guess you could say. The liability concerns are always on the forefront of anything that I'm explaining to a customer. So just making sure that everyone's taken care of rather than just trying to find you the best price, put you into my book of business, and then here we go. Now, hopefully you renew with me, right? That's not the way that I operate.
And you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth, where I don't, when I'm quoting someone, I could care less what your premium is.
Yeah.
If you want to hide the numbers, hide the numbers.
Right.
And I hate the term apples to apples.
Yeah.
I do my work. I'm trained to do the work that I do, and I'm pretty successful at it. I'm not going to copy off someone's homework.
Right.
So when it comes to quoting, if one of our viewers wants to get a quote from you, how would they go about doing that?
Contact me. Get in touch with me on Facebook Messenger. We'll put my email address up here and my phone number up on this video. Get in touch with me. All you need to do is call me. I'll gather some information that I need from you. We'll have a conversation about you. I'll get to know you a little bit. I'll get to know your family a little bit, and then we'll put a plan together in order to protect all of that you have. So I really don't need anything other than an address and a birthday for the people that are going to be on the insurance policies.
Now, with you described your quote unquote perfect client. When most people just think of insurance agents, they think of home and auto.
Sure.
Are there any other products that you sell?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We specialize in life insurance as well. That's another big thing that we bundle in with our home and auto policies. An umbrella policy is going to be another big one that probably most people that are listening to this don't even know what an umbrella is.
And kind of piggybacking off that and the no-fault reform, those are going to be
huge.
Yeah. So if you know what an umbrella policy is, reach out to Jake and myself, and we will be glad to explain them to you and explain why, with the no fault coming, how important they are.
Absolutely. So. Yep.
Every salesperson, it takes them a while to find their, hit their groove,
sure,
so to speak. And you've been in this game for quite a while. So what's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome?
I would say that the biggest hurdle to overcome would have been, oh man, this is actually a tough question. So I think one of the biggest things to overcome is changing your mindset from trying to be so price focused. You see, everyone is price focused. You get the Geico commercials, the Progressive commercials. You can save this much money in this amount of time, and what are you sacrificing for those savings? I used to be one of those people where I would want to save people money. That would be a great thing to do. Save money, save money. That was the biggest hurdle to overcome, because it's not always about saving money. Because if you have insurance that is not going to fit your needs, you're not saving any money if something happens. You're spending a lot of it. So the out-of-pocket costs could be catastrophic, and those are the types of things that we try to prevent. And that was the biggest hurdle to overcome, was to change that mindset from saving people money to protecting people. Once you start protecting people, that's when it really matters.
And then it's always, once you do protect them, and then if you do happen to put a couple extra bucks back in their pocket, it's a win-win for everybody.
It's a win-win for everybody, for sure.
And kind of piggybacking off what you just said, one of my first sales trainers said, and this could be used in any business, not just insurance, but he put it this way: there's two times you pay for insurance. There's your premiums, and then there's the out-of-pocket dollars after something happens.
Yep.
And you're just trying to figure out and find a balance for someone to kind of fit their needs.
Yeah.
So that even though we won't get into the story with him, but that was one of the things that I took away as a young agent, and that's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much sums up what you just said right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's also why I don't like the term full coverage. I don't like it. It's very deceiving.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more about that, contact us.
Yeah, there's definitely certain triggers that any insurance agent is like, God, stop.
Yeah. Please
Stop.
don't say that again.
PLPD is another one.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as PLPD anymore.
There's not.
It's liability only. Mm-hmm. And now, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you and this is totally industry based, is when the no fault goes, there's, everyone's more like focused mostly on the medical portion, which for the most part is the most drastic change.
Yeah.
And here at Kevin and I, we don't quote autos under 100, 300.
Yeah, same here.
Now our companies are going to still allow us to do that, but our default's going to go up to 250, 500, which that number kind of scares people. They're like, oh, well, that seems like a lot, especially if because the state minimum is going from 2040 to 5100. So there's going to be some people complaining about that. So we're going to have to explain and go into detail why this is. But a lot of our companies are going to default everyone to 250, 500.
Sure.
Is that something that Allstate is going to do, or haven't they told you yet?
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're going to force a default at 250,000, but that is really where I base most of my quotes from. I would say 99.9% of the quotes that I do are at $250,000 in liability just to start. And there's several reasons behind that. I mean, it's not really that much more expensive to cover yourself for that much money.
That's the liability part of any policy is the least expensive part.
Right, and people don't understand that. It could save you the most money too at the end.
Yes.
If you get sued for $250,000 and you only have $100,000 in coverage, good luck cutting that check.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be something that is forced on by Allstate, but it's already been something that's been implemented in my agency for quite some time now, because it qualifies you for an umbrella policy, and it qualifies you at a different tier for your insurance rating. So you're going to notice that your renewals are steadier, and you're going to have better rates if you do have to shop.
Yeah, and another tip out there for our audience is the higher your liability limits are, and for the longer you have higher liability, you get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not a little bit of one; it's a big one.
Yeah. So a lot of times it actually is. Obviously, it's all the time beneficial to have higher liability. But once you dive into it, you're going to realize that you're going to be better off all the way around with something like that.
Yep.
And to kind of go back to what I said, they're not forcing everyone to have 250, 500. But if you have anything below that, you're going to have to sign a waiver every year.
Right. And that waiver is basically going to say, I know that I'm putting myself at risk.
Yeah. So if you're out there trying to save a few bucks, just realize how much of a pain in the butt signing this document is going to be. Even if most of them are over DocuSign or InsureSign, or some other form of electronic signature, but still, and then once you don't sign it, it's going to bump up to 250, 500, and then you're going to be calling us anyway, going, well,
why did my premium go up?
Yeah, well, you didn't sign the paper.
Right.
You didn't sign the. So yeah, folks, I'm just trying to streamline things for you here.
And you know what? If you want to save a little bit of money, bump that liability limits up and go with $1,000 deductible. These $500 deductibles are so 1980.
Yeah, and then especially with broad form collision.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in another video. So, Mr. Bergh, I have some lightning round questions for you.
I'm ready.
And these are just kind of, they're fun, and the whole purpose of these conversations is to introduce you to people you probably otherwise wouldn't have been able to be in front of.
Sure.
So this kind of gives them a little bit, kind of take back that curtain a little bit to see who Jakob Bergh really is.
I'm ready.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone, totally. If the message isn't blue, I don't know you.
Are you a Snickers or Kit Kat person?
Oh, man. I'm not really a sweets guy, but I would go Kit Kat.
This is the one I did last time, and I think I'm the only one that chose Snickers.
Really?
Everybody, yeah.
So, I mean, I would smash both those up in some ice cream, though.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I would do that.
Just not at McDonald's because their ice cream machine's always broken.
Yeah, that one never works.
Are you a chips or a pretzels guy?
Chips, for sure. Pretzels are, man, I
love
just can't
pretzels.
do it. I can't do it. I think they're the devil.
Are you a cat or dog person?
I like them both. I don't have a cat. I do have a dog, but, I like them both.
If you could give your 14-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, man. There's probably been a lot of bumps along the road from 14 to now. Holy smokes. I would probably get started in insurance earlier.
That's something I look back at, and I think we would both agree if we got started right out of high school at 18.
Oh, man, yeah.
Our book of business would be gigantic by now.
Right.
But you know what? We're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. Keep making people happy. Keep protecting people, and people will take care of you.
Because there's a lot of folks in our industry that give people with a heart and people with a conscience a bad name.
Yeah.
And I think you and I kind of embody, we bring value. If you're just looking for price, then I'll give it a shot, but I'm not going to hound you for it.
No.
And we're both rather selective with our books of business, so I think our clients are going to be happier overall. And yeah, I think the sky's the limit for both of us, my friend.
Absolutely. Well,
Mr. Bergh, I think that about wraps up our time here. I just want to say thank you for joining me. And
absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. And you already pointed out the Facebook thing, but is there a phone number, email address people can reach you at?
Yeah, so you can reach me. My office number is 269-323-8353. You said email address? Mm-hmm. So it's my first and last name. I'll spell it out, JAKOBBERGH at allstate.com.
Perfect. So for those of you that want to get a hold of Jake, there you go. In Michigan Business Elite podcast followers, this has been this week's episode, and you're just going to have to see who I bring on next.
Woo.